Roman Vidensky, welcome to our program today. You are from Nizhny Novgorod in the upper Volga region. And can you tell us a little bit about that region and why U.S. companies would want to go there?
Well, to make it like a simple story, it's approximately halfway between Moscow and the Urals. So that I can describe it as one of the 5 largest Russian regional cities, which is a kind of an economic magnet, which takes things which are not swallowed by the Urals or by Moscow. And it's not only money, but it's also people, industrial and trading opportunities.
It sounds like a very dynamic region. Can you be more specific about the opportunities there?
The primary one is industry. The second one comes more with services, and it's a boundary case between IT, which is on one hand is a service, but on the other hand is a commercial merchandise. There is also, I think, big opportunity in finance and also in transportation. So agribusiness provides some opportunities, but they're not that much generous as if you compare it to the industrial projects or to the projects in the service sector.
The governors play a very important role in regions throughout Russia. Would it be wise for U.S. companies to take a look at the role the governor plays and the kind of person the governor is before making a decision about whether to enter the market?
One of the things which I always recommend to our customers which comes from the United States of America, is first find a company. And then if the company is good, look around and try to learn more about political environment. So economy, business, number 1, politics in the regions, always number 2 or even number 3.
How do you go about finding a Russian company in your area that is interested in procuring U.S. services or goods?
I can do a general search because we have, like 2 different approaches. One of them is when we have an application from a U.S. company. And according to this application, we look into our database, to our mental stock, and to the latest economic news, and try to recommend either a good partner or a good potential distributor or even a buyer of the product suggested or proposed to the market. Another way, which is also quite creative, and we have a number of programs for this. One of them is called Search for Partner, and the second is Trade and Tenders. It's when the incentive comes from the Russian company. And so such institutions as Biznis or US Department of Commerce posts, they're not common for the Russian Federation nowadays. And therefore, when the local companies are aware about our activities, they can always approach us as a free question desk, where they have information whether their request can have an equal counterpart from US companies, or whether we need some time to find an adequate proposal, which is exactly something which they need in profile of the company, and secondly, in the range of products that they can offer to the market and terms of shipment and financing. All in all, our database exceeds 40,000 entities, and 2/3 of them roughly are American companies and 1/3 Russian companies. The reason why there is no just equilibrium at the moment is because our working language is English, and the language problem is not the problem in Russia, but it still matters. And therefore our importance, I think, for the general operation of our company is to act not as like linguistic translator, but always as a translator in business, economic and sometimes political terms.
Can you tell us about some of the political and economic changes that affect the market?
There is firstly one formal change which happened, because for 60 years under the Soviet Union time, the city has the name of Gorky, which was one of the most known proletarian writers of the nowadays 20th century, I think. Yeah, and then just the old name of the city, Nizhny Novgorod, was returned, because it used to be like a fortress, an outpost of the Russian kingdom 6-7 centuries ago. And this importance, it went through the centuries, not just in military sense, it used to be, but like in economic and in social and political sense. Because there was also some Renaissance time in the Russian history, and once, it was in the 17th century, Moscow was sieged by the Polish and Lithuanian invaders, and it was liberated with a national army which was formed in Nizhny Novgorod. So it's kind of a considered to be as a rural place, but with a place with a potential. Therefore, just all the things, it's like a tradition, and people care about it. But if you look at the recent history of the area, you can say that it's not only the repetition of the old things, but in new colors that you can see here, but it's also big changes in economics. And I think this subject is of major importance for the US companies. And I can give just one simple comparison, which I was witnessing. 5 years ago, 50% of the gross domestic product came with industry. Nowadays, industry makes only 30% of it. Other 30% comes with retail trade, which, as you mentioned before, was under very strong planning and which was not a developed segment of the regional and national economy. And other 30%, they come with transportation, with finance, and with agribusiness. All in all, GDP is growing in the area. And nowadays, I know that Nizhny Novgorod and Kazan, which is the capital of Tatarstan, they produce more than 5% to regions of Russia, of the Russian gross domestic product. So that it's like a reallocation of the economic opportunities, of the economic wealth, and new tendencies in the development.
Give us an example of U.S. companies of various sizes that you have assisted recently.
Well, usually I work with the medium-sized companies because they have potential not only to develop themselves in the U.S. market, but also to go into the Russian national market. Therefore, I have some projects with the U.S. small companies, but they're mostly in high-tech. We have 3 projects going on in my area. One of them is about the medical research center, and we already have some positive record in high-tech commercialization happening in such not very typical success story field as medical research and development. But still, both the US team and the Russian team, the name of the company is 5E Tech. It's registered in Ohio. So they managed to commercialize goods which was developed jointly in Russia and which was then sold in America and else in the world. Also, we have some projects with local IT companies which are now working on the project of IT incubators set jointly in Russia and in America with the US and Russian research teams. I want to say that Nizhny Novgorod is a very important IT center of Russia, like 3 or 4 other cities. And nowadays you can find any US company, starting from Intel, which is the major project here, to Nortel, to Motorola, to Harris, to IBM. We have counterparts which work with them in Nizhny Novgorod and in Kazan for more than 5 or 7 years. So that if you look for a small US company successful in cooperation, it's going to be IT. If you look medium size, that's construction, like Spancrete Machinery Corporation. So I worked a lot with this company for the last, I think, 7 months. Yeah, and now they not only have a distributor in the place, but they have an exchange of team of experts which are learning a lot about technology and which are contributing with the certain mastership how to trade in things in Russia. Because they've been working with, for example, Bessa in 1990, so they know how to deal with US companies, and our role is again to help find a good counterpart. And if you look again for big names, it's mostly with IT, with finance, and sometimes maybe with retail trade.
Roman, we're glad that you're in Nizhny Novgorod to help U.S. companies, and we're very glad that you were with us today.
Thank you.